1942, the year of Auschwitz and Treblinka, was also a most difficult year for the Jewish community in Palestine. The Germans opened an offensive in North Africa. The Afrika Korps, commanded by General Erwin Rommel, drove the British back into Egypt. It seemed that nothing could stop the German onslaught. Palestine was in great danger. In Egypt, anti-British sentiment increased. King Farouk, the unwilling host of the British, hoped for a German victory, as did most Arab rulers in the Middle East. In February 1942, crowds took to the streets in an anti-British demonstration. That year, Cairo was infested with spies and enemy agents. The British were suspicious and had succeeded in uncovering a pro-Nazi underground.
I contacted them, and I sent also a treaty quoting this for our independence. And then it is not, as they say in some circles, to make black propaganda against me, that we were the allies of Hitler or so, or the racialism, or all what Hitler said. No, it was very simple to us. Germany is the enemy of our enemy, England. So the enemy of our enemy is our friend.
Rommel's advance towards the Suez Canal brought great anxiety to Palestine's Jews. During that same year, 1942, Jewish enlistment reached its peak. With the recruitment of young women to the Auxiliary Territorial Service, the number of Palestinian Jewish volunteers serving in all branches of the British Armed Forces in the Middle East reached 30,000. But the British, fearing negative reactions among the Arabs, continued to conceal the fact that nearly all Palestinians participating in the war effort were Jews. Mandate government fears that a pro-Nazi Arab revolt would break out if they made any pro-Jewish gestures were not valid. In the coffee houses of Jerusalem, Arabs did indeed speak of Abu Ali, meaning Rommel, with admiration, hoping for his swift arrival. Yet throughout the war, the Palestinian Arab national movement was paralyzed.
Empfing den Großmufti von Jerusalem, einen der einflussreichsten Männer des arabischen Nationalismus. Der Großmufti ist
The leader of the Palestinian Arabs, the Mufti Haj Amin al-Husseini, was in exile in Berlin. The Mufti called Hitler the protector of Islam, urging him to accelerate the extermination of the Jews. The Mufti was sent by the SS on a mission to Yugoslavia to recruit Bosnian Muslims to fight Tito's partisans. Because of his activities, the Allies later placed the Mufti on its list of wanted war criminals. The Mufti was hoping to return to Palestine with the Arab military force called by the Nazis Free Arabia. His designs were very close to being realized. Rommel advanced swiftly in the Western Desert, and the retreating British rapidly prepared for the evacuation of Egypt and Palestine.
There were moments when the Jewish community in Palestine was just about certain that what awaited them was a catastrophe from Rommel's army, which had come as close as El Alamein. We knew that what stood between us and Rommel was a very thin barrier of British forces. I remember that Moshe Sharet and I were walking along Hayakon Street in Tel Aviv. Then Moshe said to me, "Look, David, this is how it was in Warsaw before they bombarded and destroyed it. This is how it was in other cities, in London. In Palestine, People seem calm, but clouds are gathering on the horizon.
This is a training camp of the Haganah, the underground force of the Jewish community in Palestine. The Haganah was an illegal organization, hunted by the British police. But during the years of danger, 1940 to 1942, it cooperated secretly with the British intelligence services.
This arose through ultimately a decision by Churchill, sometimes not long after the evacuation from Dunkirk, to make use of the Jewish power of resistance in Palestine. But because there had been troubles with the Arabs before that, he decided to do it without the knowledge of the Palestine administration. And he selected A.W. Lawrence, a brother of T.E. Lawrence, to begin this collaboration with the Zionist agency.
Now British agents trained the Haganah, the Jewish underground, aiming to establish a partisan force which would engage the enemy in guerrilla warfare if Palestine were indeed invaded. One of the plans conceived by Haganah commanders was to transform Haifa, Mount Carmel and its Bay Area into a mountain fortress in which all Palestine's Jews would be concentrated and from which a defensive battle would be waged.
The plans were to fight to the last drop of blood. A new Masada. That's how you could define it. There was great fear.
Fortunately, the suicidal Masada plan was never put to the test. On July the 1st, the British succeeded in halting Rommel's advance near the Egyptian town of El Alamein. The new commander, General Montgomery, cancelled all retreat plans and prepared the 8th Army for a counterattack. In October 1942, the British attacked in El Alamein. Rommel couldn't withstand the assault and began to retreat. Allied armed forces, the British and the Americans who had now joined the war, pursued the Germans up to Tunisia. In spring, the Allies reached the city of Tunis, the last German stronghold in North Africa. Here, as in all other liberated lands, Allied victory meant salvation for the Jews. As Hitler and